What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are once again reacting to your guys' Instagram questions that you guys sent me on my Instagram post. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of jacked up. Anyways, that's what we're doing here again today. Thank you guys for support. It's been really awesome. I give you guys 19 hours on this one, so more questions could get in. That way, you know, people weren't like, oh, you didn't get my question. And then next time they miss it again, it's like, oh my gosh, can you just get my question? I'm sorry. Anyways, hopefully everybody got their question in here. If you guys have Instagram and you didn't ask a question, or you're not even following me, what are you doing? What are you doing? You got to do it. You got to go over there and follow me, and you got to be asking questions. Or just leave some kind of thought, something in here, okay? Just to let me know. And at the same time, if you're on Instagram, make sure you watch the video. I know if you're not watching the video, you don't know I'm saying this, but you should watch the videos because that's the whole point. Anyways, let's get this started. All right, we're going to start off with Tucker Wing. I think it's Tuckery Wing? I don't know. 9. He says Terrell Lewis or Josh Uche. Now, for the Lions defense, I do believe Terrell Lewis is actually expected to go second round. So maybe, according to everybody else, talent-wise, they would go with Terrell Lewis. He also has had some injuries as well, so that's a little bit concerning. For me personally, I'd actually go with Josh Uche. Not because he's from Michigan. Well, I mean, that's a little bit, but not really. It's really because of his versatility. I think he's the most versatile edge linebacker in this draft. When you talk about edge defenders, you don't see a lot of guys that are versatile. They're just usually just pass rushing only. Now, I'm not saying Josh Uche is probably great in coverage, but I do think he can play different positions. And in a defense like ours, where we have, you know, many linebacker positions that, you know, rotate. A lot of guys play different positions. Jamie Collins, you know, he can play edge, he can play in the box. Everybody can move around. I think actually Josh Uche would be better for our defense, and we may even be able to pick him up a little bit later in the draft, so that would be great. So I'm going with Uche. Next up, we have Matt Carney. He says, should Jarrad Davis be traded if we get a linebacker? So I'm assuming you're talking about if we get a linebacker in the draft. It really depends on how high we go linebacker and, you know, if he wins the role or not. I really don't know who is going to win the role, so it really just depends. I mean, he could go out there and ball out. If the Lions go, say, Isaiah Simmons, and they add Isaiah Simmons, they'll have Reggie Ragland, Elijah Lee, Jelani Tavai, Jamie Collins. It's going to be deep at that linebacker position. I wouldn't say trade him. I would say, you know, he's on his last year of his deal unless you get a really big return and someone really wants him. I could definitely see keeping him for the final year with a new linebacker coach. Maybe he lives up to that first-round potential this year and he's able to figure it out with some veteran presences. But I would definitely wait and give him the final year unless you get a huge return. If you get a very nice return that can help you during the draft, definitely do it. So there you go. Next up, we got my man, Wavy Will. He says, I think it's Wavy. I think Wavy sounds better than Wavy. I'm not sure, though. He says, congrats on the interview with Glover Quinn. Absolutely. That is actually taking place in like 3 hours from now. So that's awesome. Excited for the interview. I am very excited. A little bit nervous, excited, though. What's one question you want to make sure you ask him? I actually have a few questions that I do have wrote down that I'm planned out to ask him. The first question I want to ask him is, I'm going to tell you guys now, is about the draft. I think that's something that's going to be really cool. I don't know if you guys will see this before or after the interview. That's one question I know he wasn't like a first-round pick or anything, but that's one thing that I've always, you know, wondered, like, how that worked out, like if he was called first or whatnot. That's one question I definitely will ask him, so that's going to be super exciting. That's probably the first question I'm going to ask him, honestly. Next up, if we do, oh my lord, I cannot read. If we draft a middle linebacker early, do we move Jarrad Davis to outside edge rush like we had Devon Kennard? I think it's a possibility. And I would honestly be shocked if the Lions haven't tried that yet, but if they haven't, it definitely should be something that they are experimenting. Obviously, right now, that's not really an option, but when you can, if you do draft an inside linebacker, I am completely with you. Try him at outside. And if he doesn't work out, okay, maybe, you know, he's a backup because you do need backups because guys do get injured. But the thing is, Jarrad Davis won't start. I'm assuming he's not going to start interior linebacker this season, especially if we draft someone. Even if we don't, he probably won't either. I still believe Jamie Collins and Jelani Tavai are 2 interior linebackers. So if we draft a high, you know, middle linebacker, or really any middle linebacker in general, I would definitely try him on the outside. If it doesn't work, you know, he's in depth. If it does work, then awesome. You got a nice little edge rusher there with Austin Bryant. Next up, chances we trade down to 6 and get the Chargers second, Desmond King. Ooh, that's a good question. Chances, I would say a 4. Let's say here. I think it wouldn't be a bad trade. Trufant last year wasn't. I mean, not Trufant. King wasn't great last year statistically, but he does do a lot of things. My problem with him when I did a video on him is I don't know where he would fit in our defense. If Matt Patricia thinks he could find a spot for him in our defense, he would be nice because he is young. Now, you would have to pay him soon, but he's still young. He's from Detroit. So I think, you know, he'd be nice to have. The problem is I don't really know where he'd fit, and a second-round pick wouldn't be bad. I think Bob Quinn would be willing to target that, and I also think moving back to 6 is somewhere that he's willing to move back to because he still thinks there would be talent available. So I would say it's actually about a 50-50 shot. Not 50-50. Nah, I don't say 50-50 shot. I don't know what the percentages are, but I could see them doing it like Kobe Bryant Zero says, if we find a spot for him, because again, I'm not sure where he would play in our defense. All right, next up we have Ramiro. I should know how to say these names. I see them all the time. Do you think TJ will have a breakout year this season? I don't know if he'll have a breakout year. I would say I think it will be better and more consistent. I thought he was a little inconsistent at times last year. Obviously, his first game was like a third of his yards. After that, really nothing. Had some injuries, you know. But he's a young player. And you see a lot of times with great tight ends, their first year is bad. Their second year, they just come out of nowhere. I could definitely see him being very impactful because he's a threat that Matthew Stafford can utilize like crazy. I mean, we saw glimpses where it's like, dude, this guy can be such a weapon. The first game of the year versus the Cardinals, it was like, I don't know how you're going to stop TJ Hockenson and all these wide receivers with Matthew Stafford because he has so many weapons. Obviously, Stafford went down, and, TJ Hockenson kind of fell off after that game. I think he'll have a way better season. I don't know if he'll have, a Gronk 1,300-yard type of year. I think it could get more up to 500 yards, so I could definitely see that, especially if our offensive line gets better, allows him to go out a little bit more. What do you think about this draft outcome for us? We trade back with the Dolphins, and they get the 3rd, and we get the 5th, 26th, and 39th, and we draft Isaiah Simmons with the 5th. Take A.J. Epinesa with 26, and Trayvon Diggs, I'm sorry, y'all, and J.K. Dobbins with 39. All right. Okay, 5, 26, and 39 would be a great return. I think Bob Quinn would accept that without a doubt. Getting Isaiah Simmons at 5 would be an absolute steal. If the Giants pass on him, that'd be one of the best scenarios we could possibly go for. 26, AJ Epinesa could work. I could see that. You could mix from line and edge rusher possibly. And then J.K. Dobbins. I do like J.K. Dobbins a lot. I think that guy would be a monster in the NFL. But either way, just the picks alone, that'd be great. I think Bob Quinn would accept that. Do you believe the Lions will draft Okudah at 3 like ESPN mock drafts are saying? I do not believe they will take him at 3. I think they will trade back. I think taking at 3 is a terrible idea. No hate to Okudah on that statement. It's simply the fact that it doesn't need to be at 3. Literally, if your mind is set on taking Okudah, trade back and get whatever you can in return. It doesn't have to be great because there's no reason to take him at number 3 when you can get him at 5 or 6. So, no, I don't think they'll do it, but I could see them taking him, just not at 3. Do you think we will trade back with our first round? Oh, wait. Do you think we will trade back into the first round after our first pick? It wouldn't shock me, to be honest with you. The Lions have traded up a few times. They've done it. I think they've done it twice now. 3 times. I think they've traded back 2 or 3 times. They actually usually do better when they trade backs, historically, under Bob Quinn. But they have done before. However, trading back into the first round is going to take a lot, and it depends on who's available. The only guy I can see them trading back in for is a defensive lineman. I could see possibly if they wanted to go Gallimore or if they wanted to go with Kinlaw, maybe they trade back in. It's just going to take a lot. I would definitely think you'd have to throw in a future pick or you'd have to throw in a player there. So maybe, I would say not likely, but I could see it because, they do need to get their talent. If the Lions don't get Okudah, do you think they will draft a cornerback? What round? I think they will draft a cornerback, and I would say mid-round. I think if they don't get Okudah, we're talking 3rd round, probably 3rd, 4th round at the latest. I would say there's some good mid-round talent out there, and that would mean Amani's probably going to be here too, but I'd go mid-round. 2nd round, possibly. I could see it, depending on who they're going after. I've actually watched a couple of guys. I've watched, oh my gosh, now I can't remember the name. Christian Fulton, I've seen him. I've seen Trayvon Diggs, C.J. Henderson. I still want to see A.J. Terrell. Haven't seen him yet. I'm excited to see what he can do. A lot of hype around Terrell out of Clemson. So I want to see him a little bit. I could definitely see them going with those options. I think C.J. Henderson is a good fit for our defense. I think he has some concerns, though. Trayvon Diggs is a very high-risk, high-reward type of player. So I think the Lions could, go elsewhere. Maybe they'll go Christian Fulton. He's a big zone guy, though. I don't know. I think they could definitely go 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, but not much later than that. I do think they will add a cornerback in the top 4 rounds. I guess that's a quick way of saying it. Do you think the Slade trade was fair? Elaborate on this a little. Do I think the Slade trade was fair? I think it was actually not a bad trade at all for the Detroit Lions. I actually think it was I wouldn't say it was a good move, but it made a lot of sense. The way that he clearly didn't want to be here, and if you got players that don't want to be here, it ain't going to work. It don't matter how talented he is, it's not going to work. It just won't. And he doesn't want to be here. He's not going to play hard for this team. It won't make sense. Now, I do believe if you put that aside and you say, okay, pick for pick, like Slay for a 3rd and a 5th, it's not a great return. But at the same time, they were willing to take on that contract. And we kind of did this with Golden Tate. And 3rd and 5th isn't terrible. Knowing what Bob Quinn has done historically, 3rd and 5th, I would say this isn't a bad trade because 3rd and 5th, he's been money, right? Kenny Galladay, Graham Glasgow, 5th round, Joe Dahl. He's been kind of money in those rounds. So if he's assuming that's going to happen again, that works. Also, knowing you have to win this year, 3rd round is definitely a place I think the Lions can find a starter. 5th round, maybe not so much, maybe a rotational guy. I don't think it's a bad trade pick for pick. I think it's maybe not great. I think it's okay if you're going pick for pick, but knowing how Darius Slay felt about the team, it had to happen. I have no problem with it at this point. Should the Lions go after OBJ? No, I would not go after OBJ. It's personally No. OBJ just always seems to want to leave everywhere. He seems to be a distraction. Wouldn't mess with that, and I don't think the Lions will because, you know, just the Lions don't get guys like that. Should the Lions still be targeting Logan Ryan for the last free agent signing? I don't think they are, but I do understand that after the draft, free agency still goes on. So I think after the draft, the Lions could look and see, okay, here's what we have. Do we need to go grab another corner? Logan Ryan is solid in the slot. I don't know how he would be on the outside. He's kind of in that Slay situation as well. He did have 4 picks last year in 9 games. So he's a productive player. He's a ball hawk. Again, you would have to find a spot for him defensively. I think that would be the one problem. And maybe his asking price, though, would go down after the draft, seeing that other teams have filled out cornerback positions. Teams may be more or less needy for a cornerback, and they may, you know, take him for less money. So maybe be able to get him for less afterwards. Right now, I wouldn't worry about it, honestly, until the draft is over, see what you have. And then if you still need to address the cornerback position, then I can see the Lions targeting him. Matthew Dennis says, who's your favorite prospect that we aren't going to draft this year? And next question, who do you like in the 2021 draft class? Awesome question. Love this. Who is the favorite prospect that we aren't going to draft? That was a great question. I saw this. I should have thought about it more. That's good, that we won't draft. Well, honestly, anybody we're interviewing, because they don't take players like that. No, but seriously, my favorite player we won't draft. Whoa, see, that's hard because I don't know what we're going to draft. But then at the same time, I feel like I kind of know I kind of have a feeling of where they're going to go at some point. I would say, my favorite, I like some of the big running backs. I would not be shocked if they passed on it. I would be nice to have a really good running back with carry on. That's just my opinion. Curtis Weaver's up there. I think Curtis Weaver's one. I like the thought of Trayvon Diggs because of the potential, but I don't know if the Lions are willing to take that risk because he may not make a great impact day one. Oh, man. I would say Kevin Dotson as well. Yo, I keep bringing up Kevin Dotson, probably like, who in the world is Kevin Dotson? He's a sleeper. Don't sleep on this man, but he's slept on. He's a guard out of Louisiana. I don't think the Lions will take him, but they definitely should late in the draft. Who do I like in 2021 class? Don't know a lot of 2021 class. If Nico Collins is coming out of Michigan, yes. Nico Collins, I think, is better than Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he's better this year. That's just my opinion. I think Nico Collins is going to be a beast. I think the Lions should be willing to take a Nico Collins. If they were both at the same pick and you said, hey, which one do you want? I'm taking Collins every day. I'm just saying. But if outside of Michigan, I like Sam Ehlinger. I know it's weird, but I do like Sam Ehlinger as a quarterback next year out of Texas. So maybe, you know, he improves a little bit and becomes a guy that we can go after. JJ Edwards says, if you were Bob Quinn, what would you do in the first round? What trades would you consider and what players would you select? If I was Bob Quinn, what would I do in the first round? I would like to trade just like he is doing. I'd try to trade back for sure. What trades would you consider? I would consider everything. My options would be open. I would say, see me, I'm different. I look at it differently. I would say I'm willing to make a trade with the Raiders for 12 and 19 and later pick for 3. I would be willing to do that. The reason I would, and because I'm not too worried about getting a top 10 pick. I would love to have the top 10 and still acquire picks. If I got 5 or 6, I'd take it and still, you know, got picks later on. But I'm willing to take a 12, 19, and a later pick. So that way at 12, I can take an O lineman, and at 19, I can either move back up, or if Kinlaw falls, I'm taking him there. That's what I would do. I'm all about trenches, so I'd be willing for everything, and those are kind of players I would select. But honestly, I like a lot of guys in this draft. I just don't want to reach for Okudah at 3. I would love to trade back, though. I think trade back's where I'm at. But again, if Chase Young's there, I would take him. Possibly I'd take Isaiah Simmons at 3 if you're really concerned the Giants are going to take him. What's my man? I realized I just skipped your comment. So you said, what do I feel about Willie Gay Jr.? Very good question. I like Willie Gay on the field. Seems like a very quick, fast player. Kind of reminds me of Devin Bush a little bit. I think he's going to be a very good mid-round pick, very talented in the NFL. However, there's some off-the-field concerns. That is, you know, suspensions and also injuries. Because of that, I don't think the Lions will go after a player like that. However, I do think he's going to be really good as a mid-round pick. Sorry I skipped that question. Let's get back to the video. A better fit for Dolphins, Tua or Herbert? For the Dolphins? Ooh, I'm trying to think. I don't really watch the Dolphins a lot. That's kind of the problem here. I watched Herbert yesterday. Herbert, here's the thing. One thing that came out me clear of Herbert is he's willing to take more shots. He's very much so stares down his wide receivers, but I guess that happens in college. He plays against less competition. Doesn't have very big arms. He's got a pretty weak arm and he's inaccurate. So he's inaccurate at times, but then at other times he's so accurate it looks like an NFL pass. I would say for the Dolphins, I almost think Tua, and I don't even love Tua, but just because he's simpler, you know what you're going to get in Tua. I feel like you're going to get a guy that can make simple reads and simple passes. I think Herbert's more of a risky kind of player, even though Tua is probably going to sell its first year. I think Herbert's more of a risk than Tua, just because I saw a lot of flashes of consistency and inconsistency when I watched him. Every once in a while, he'd throw a dot, and I was like, whoa, that's a good player. And every once in a while, you'd see one where it's like, that's not even close. So the arm strength kind of concerns me. If you want a guy to start year 1, obviously you go Herbert, but I think Tua actually is better for the Dolphins. Yeah, so I'm giving Tua a little bit of love there. All right, you think we could swap picks with the Jags and offer another pick for Unique? This is interesting. Swap pick with the Jags and offer another pick. So get 12. So you're saying, no, get 9. I said that right, 9 and 20. So maybe just get 9, 3, and then offer a pick Yannick. I think we could, if we're willing to take that on. I think it would be a really good defensive line for sure. I don't think he played the Jack role. Yeah, we could try that. I mean, if you got 9 and 20 and Yannick for a late round pick as well, I think that's something that you can't really like pass on, because you got 9, I'm going lineman, you got Yannick, and then at 20 you can go corner or something. I mean, that's, yeah, you're spending some money, but you're pretty much filling out a lot of needs right away. What round do you think Devin Duvernay finna go in? Hopefully we draft him. I think Devin Duvernay goes 4th round. I'd say 4th round top of my head. Maybe 5th, but I'm going to go 4th round because it is deep. I'm going to go 4th round, though. He actually is a picture here. Okay, I see you, Aaron. What if the Lions trade back and get 5-18, draft Simmons and Fulton in the 1st, draft Taylor in the 2nd, Peoples-Jones in the 3rd, Jalen Hurts in the 3rd? Yeah, I would like it, but also I wouldn't love it. It depends on, that really depends on the 4th round pick then at that point. It depends on what guard we're getting, because we got to get a guard in the 4th round then. If I'm getting 5-18, Simmons would be a beast. Fulton is really good. I think he's one of the top corners. One problem I do see, though, is I think he's way better in zone, which we don't play, but he also can play man, you know? So I think he'd be solid. I wouldn't have a problem with him. I still need to watch a couple more corners to know what Terrell's about and stuff like that. Draft Taylor in the 2nd. I would be down for Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins. I really like Dobbins recently, as I've been watching him, but I still like Taylor as well. But maybe for offense, maybe more Dobbins, or a lot of people like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. A lot of people like him as well. Peoples-Jones in the 3rd. I don't know if I go DPJ in the 3rd. Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I would. I feel like that's a little early for a wide receiver. And it's not early for a wide receiver. I just don't know if I'd go that early. Like I said before, I like Nico better. So if you get Nico next year, I'd take that. And Jalen Hurts in the 3rd. I wouldn't have a problem with Hurts, but you know I'm a Fromm kind of guy. I like that question, though. Upstart. Okudah or Simmons? Simmons. Darrell Stewart. No. I don't know what that is. That a question? Like, wait, hold up. Darrell Stewart. Is that a draft player or is that a free agent? I'm not even. I'm back again to stop in because I was so confused by this, thrown off. Apparently, this is a wide receiver from Michigan State, Darrell Stewart Jr. Is that who you're going for? Don't know tons about him, honestly. I don't know a lot about him. I've been focusing on other positions. Wide receiver is so hard because there's so many of them. So, man, if I don't know all of them, I apologize. But you're probably a Michigan State fan. I can rock with that. Definitely, we'll keep an eye on those Michigan players. So, yeah, I can rock with that for sure. But, my bad. I don't really know who he is. Seems like he's kind of big, though. 6'2". Maybe he'd work, maybe he wouldn't. I'll check him out. But, yeah, don't really know a lot about him. So, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. Okay, we're going to move on. I'm sorry, I don't know that one, Andrew. SMW for life. He says, would you pick Okwara? Watch film on him at Kinlaw Flowers, and Shelton would be a beast line. Kinlaw would be a beast. Okwara, you know, I watched him a long time ago, watched tons of games on him. At the time, I wasn't super impressed. I did like Curtis Weaver better. But I think he is more versatile than a guy like Curtis Weaver is, so he could play the Jack role. So possibly, I need to get back and watch him again, though. I think Uche is another option, but I wouldn't have a problem with it, especially if you got Kinlaw as well. That would be a fire defense line, you're right. Lions talk, would you rather grab Uche in the 3rd or Anae in the 4th? Whoa. I think I'm going to go with Pence is available, man, because if I can get a guard in the 4th, I'd go Uche. If I can't get a guard in the 4th, I'm going Anae in the 4th. That way I can take my guard in the 3rd because I think guard is just a huge need. So that's how I would do that. And you still got 2 third-round picks. Ooh, man, Anae or... I feel like Uche could be better right away. At the same time, I think Anae is that high ceiling. Uche in the 3rd and a guard, maybe. Oh, that's hard, dude. Why'd you put me on the spot like that? I don't even know. I don't know. You can answer. I don't know. KJ Hill or KJ Hamler? Both are pretty good receivers. Who would you take in the draft? Probably Hill because I think he'll go later. I think Hamler's very good, but I think he'd go 2nd round. That's my kind of problem there. If they're just straight up, I'd probably go with Hamler if they're at the same pick, but I think Hill falls further, so I think, you know, you get him in the 4th round, and that's the route I'd go. But again, if Hamler's there in the 4th, I could take him then. Patricia doesn't deliver this season. Who do you want to replace him as head coach? Oh, gosh, I have no idea. I honestly don't know. I don't want to move Darrell Bevel there. I want to keep him. I don't want to move him because I feel like, you know, I don't want to take him out of his element. He's doing fine at what he's doing. Deliver, what do you mean by deliver? I would say, you know, got to be a playoff contention. I don't know who I'd replace him with. I don't know enough head coaches. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait till we see. I don't know enough coaches that would fill in. Lions should try and get Denzel Mims. I don't think I'd go that route. That's a little too early for me. But hey, you do you, my man. Seeing rumors circulate potentially OBJ. I did see that. If that occurred before the draft, do you think the Lions would alter their draft needs once? Yes, that's true. Because they would have OBJ. I don't think so. You know, I actually don't think so. I think you still got to get pressure because I think at the end of the day, if you're not getting pressure, cornerbacks aren't going to do much. And I also think that it's, yeah, he's OBJ. But again, I think Landry had a better season than OBJ. And consider that. They also had Stephon Diggs last year. And I think, you know, if anything, they're very close in talent. So I don't think you change up your draft just because they have OBJ. If anything, it takes away picks for them. So I would not change anything. I'm still going pressure first. But again, you definitely have to draft a corner at that point. Somewhere in the mid-rounds. Is this the best offense Stafford has had? If not, where does it rank? For 2020, no, not yet. Why? Because they need a lineman. The lineman position is not at the point where it needs to be. I would say weapons-wise, if you're talking about the final year with Kenny, Jones, Danny Amendola, they'll probably draft someone else. Marvin Hall. Tight ends are going to be really good. If you find a running back or if, you know, Kerryon can stay healthy, but really just fix that offensive line and it could be way up there. But otherwise, it's not. Where does it rank? I can't say it ranked. I almost would say it's just behind, you know, some of those big Stafford years in 2011, because 2011 was one of those years that, oh, man, that's hard. They had Kelvin. Kelvin's just such a factor, and I don't think Kenny Galladay's Kelvin yet. I think he's great. He's not Kelvin though. Kelvin just changes everything. I think if you put Kelvin on their offense and swapped him out with Kenny G, and when he was healthy, right, Kelvin, I mean, this would be ridiculous. But at the same time, I think Kenny Galladay at some point will be at that level. I don't know, man. You just got to fix that O-line. Would you go Okudah or Simmons? Simmons. Kenny Willekes, the late round sleeper. Kenny Willekes is interesting. Got to see a little bit more on Kenny Willekes, though. But I think he is listed as a sleeper. Even my Pro Football Focus, so that's interesting. Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, very good question. Wouldn't have a problem with either of them, honestly. I think they're tied for me. At this point, I think they're tied. I do like Dobbins a lot because of how he can fit in our offense. I'd probably actually go Dobbins right now. And I know it sounds crazy because I've never said that, but I think I'd go Dobbins just because of how he'd fit in our offense. Trade back with Chargers. Trade 3 for 637, a 4th round, and more. Get Okudah at 6, Epinesa at 35, and J.K. Dobbins 37. Wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't hate it at all. I'd be down. T. Higgins or DPJ. DPJ because it's later, but if they both fell, which I have seen, I'm going T. Higgins. No hate though. I love Michigan, but hey, Derek Brown or Kinlaw. Kinlaw. My man Kinlaw. Just because of that Lions tweet, I'm still going Kinlaw, but I do think Derek Brown is an absolute monster. Do we take JK at 35? Wouldn't mind it. Love JK right now. Okay, so that's all the questions. Woo, hopefully that wasn't too long. I got to end this thing, though, because I got to get prepared for tonight. Thank you, for watching, and I'm